It is NFL Bold Predictions Week here on SportsCentre. We've got Bryan Hayes, Farhan Lalji joining us. So this is how it's going to go down, gentlemen. You are going to start, Bryan. You're going to give us our bold stance. And Farhan, you're going to weigh in afterwards. So we've got some guy named Aaron Rodgers rocking a different color behind us here. I have a feeling that's where your bold stance is, Bryan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looks good in those colors,
Does
too.
he?
So this is how I'm going to start this week in terms of bold statements. I'm not sure it's going to get any bolder as we move on beyond this day. Aaron Rodgers teams up with Mike Tomlin, and the Pittsburgh Steelers win the AFC North. They finish with the most wins in the AFC North. They end up winning the division. Let's not forget what happened last year. They were 10-7. They lost the last 4 games of the year. They definitely fell off. The offense was awful. T.J. Watt wasn't necessarily himself. Let's not forget who they played down the stretch. At Philly, at Baltimore, at home to Kansas City, and then Cincinnati in Week 18, where it was irrelevant at that point. So that was a completely meaningless game. Those are 3 of the best teams in the league.
That was then.
Exactly. But you got to remember that. They were a really good team prior to that. They were fighting for the division all the way up until Week 18. And now you get Aaron Rodgers. I'm banking, Farhan, on him getting out of New York, and it's the Jets that were sucking him into that black hole. I think he comes alive with a great, great franchise, very similar to the one where he was peaking with Green Bay for a long, long time. I'm going to stand by this. Bold prediction number 1 for the week. The Steelers win the AFC North.
Bryan, you are eating the same bark that Aaron Rodgers and Terry Bradshaw might chew together at some point. You know, you're basically replacing Russell Wilson and George Pickens with Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. And I'm not sure you've upgraded at all. You still got to figure out who to run the ball with. They've got a rookie that's going to come in there and attempt to get it done. Their offensive line should get a little bit better when healthier, but Aaron Rodgers is not a good football player at this stage of his career. I thought Russell Wilson, he had the first bad year in Denver. I thought the last 2 years, that last year in Pittsburgh and in Denver, I thought he was fine. I thought he was serviceable, but yet that offense struggled. Who's going to catch the ball outside of DK Metcalf? And DK Metcalf, to me, having covered him pretty closely in Seattle for the last little while, is a very flawed, limited player. So I think there's a real lack of offensive weapons. If he all of a sudden thinks that he's got a guy like Metcalf, he's going to play like Devontae Adams and find ways to shake loose and get open, that's not going to happen on a regular basis. And when you've got teams in that division like Baltimore and Cincinnati, it's not going to be any easier for Pittsburgh this year.
I believe they can still have a top 10, maybe top 5 defense. Right? That front 7 is absolutely electric. They bring in Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay to play corner. Older guys in the league, sure, but very capable players. If that defense can be a top 10 or a top 5 defense, and Mike Tomlin, you talk about culture, you know he's going to have them in winning scenarios as the season goes on. Rodgers doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to win an MVP. He's just got to be better than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, something I guarantee will happen. Guarantee it. And those two got to 10-7 and got to the playoffs last year. And you mentioned they may not hit the ground running. I disagree. I think they will. They start week 1 at New York against the Jets. Perfect spot for Rodgers to make a statement immediately. Then they got Seattle at home, at New England, Minnesota overseas. Then they hit a bye and come home against Cleveland in week 6. I could see them leaving week 6, maybe 4-1, maybe 5-0. Then you're the pace car in the division. Yes, it's a good division. Baltimore's a great team. I don't think Cincinnati's that great. I still think they're flawed defensively, that offensive line. Cleveland's a mess. You're talking about the Ravens here. They were right on their tails the whole season last year. I think Rodgers, Tomlin, a hot start, a great defense. They can win the AFC North.
What I can guarantee you is not Tomlin getting you above 500. It's that Aaron Rodgers is at best the 3rd quarterback in this division. You look at what Lamar Jackson did last year, 4,000 passing, 800 rushing. They're even better offensively. They just added Malachi Starks on the defensive side along with Hamilton at safety. That team is loaded. And when you look at Cincinnati, they won the last 5 games they had last season. They're not going to start slow like they did the last 2 years. Cincinnati is going to be right up there again with Joe Burrow.
Lamar Jackson. That's all I have to say.
He's pretty good. He is a good player.
Aaron Rodgers back in 2021 led the NFL in total QBR, 25th, 26th, and he doesn't get a rating after blowing out his Achilles in week 1. So it's been a downward slope for Mr. Aaron Rodgers. But you did your research, Hayes. That is the bold prediction of all bold predictions to kick off Bold Prediction Week here on SportsCentre.